Hello everyone and welcome to Pitt. My name is Mackenzie Stiles and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a rising sophomore and a first-year mentor in the Office of New Student Programs. We would like to kick off Welcome Week with details on what the new health guidelines are for Pitt students, as well as why these guidelines are important for students to follow. We would love to begin the traditional Welcome Week with a huge social event where we could all be together. We would normally eat more ice cream than we should, talk about our summers, and get to know each other face to face. This Welcome Week, you can still do all of those things, and the first-year mentors have worked so hard to make sure you can still have fun and connect virtually. These are different times, and we have to acknowledge our circumstances and how we will move forward. This event is not intended to just be a reading of the rules and regulations surrounding our health on campus. We want to highlight the strength of the Pitt community and the importance of all of us ensuring the health and safety of those around us. You may find these conversations very anxiety-provoking. It is important to focus on your mental health, so if you need to take a moment at any time during this event, please feel free to do so. If at any point you need to, take the time to ground yourself, find a calming place, or speak to someone. If these feelings are persistent or you just need a reliable person to talk to, please reach out to the University Counseling Center. We have counselors to provide you with help as well as a support line at 412-648-7930. Please know that we are all here for you and that these feelings, especially now, are incredibly common. Everyone at Pitt is here to support you, and we are beyond excited to have you as a student this year. Hail to Pitt!
Hi, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Weddick. I'm the medical director at the University of Pittsburgh Student Health Service, and today I'm going to be addressing issues related to health and safety in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. We know this is a highly transmissible virus. Primary transmission is through respiratory droplets. People can contract COVID-19 if they breathe in droplets from an infected person who coughs, sneezes, or exhales those droplets. These droplets can also land on objects and surfaces, and people can then catch the virus from touching these surfaces and then touching their eyes, nose, or mouth. The time from exposure to symptom onset, which is known as the incubation period, is thought to be 3 to 14 days, though symptoms typically appear within 4 to 5 days after exposure. We know that a person with COVID-19 is likely to be contagious 24 to 48 hours before starting to experience symptoms. This reinforces the need for correct and consistent use of face masks, as well as physical distancing and contact tracing, all of which help reduce the risk that someone who's infected but pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic may unknowingly infect others. People with COVID-19 experience a wide range of symptoms, ranging from mild symptoms to very severe illness, requiring hospitalization. While a wide range of symptoms accompany the coronavirus, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC, says that a large majority of patients in a recent study exhibited one of 3 symptoms: fever, cough, and shortness of breath. The most common symptoms of COVID-19, according to the CDC, include fevers or chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, a new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, ingestion or runny nose, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. If you develop any of these symptoms, please call the Student Health Service for further guidance. Currently, there's a nationwide shortage of supplies to do testing, as well as a significant delay in getting results. This means you may be diagnosed with COVID-19 based solely on your symptoms. In this case, depending on your living situation, you may be required to move into university isolation housing. Isolation is a public health practice used to protect the public by preventing exposure to people who have or may have a contagious disease. It's intended to separate sick people with a contagious disease from people who are not sick. This significantly reduces the risk of spreading the disease. The university has established over 170 rooms to safely house students. The students will be monitored by a student health service health professional for the duration of their stay in isolation. Meals, linens, towels, and other necessities will be provided. Per the CDC, isolation can generally be discontinued 10 days after symptom onset and resolution of fever for at least 24 hours without the use of fever-reducing medications, as well as improvement of other symptoms. Considering this guidance, a student health service professional will determine when it is permissible for a student to be released from isolation. If you are exposed to someone with COVID-19, then you may have to quarantine for 14 days after your exposure. Quarantine is a public health practice used to protect the public by preventing exposure to people who have or may have a contagious disease by separating and restricting the movement of people who were exposed to a contagious disease to see if they become sick. During quarantine, students may not attend classes, labs, exams, go to work, be in public areas, use any form of public transportation, including ride-sharing services, or attend any events. They also should not go out to restaurants, coffee shops, or have friends over. People who have been exposed are identified through contact tracing. It is very important that you cooperate with a contact tracer if you should receive a call. In some circumstances, it's appropriate for a person to self-quarantine in their apartment, residence hall room, or home. If that's not a safe option, the university has established dedicated facilities for students to quarantine. The contact tracer or other university representative will assist you in determining the best option for you. An exposure is currently defined as being within 6 feet of someone who has COVID-19 for at least 15 minutes, and that applies even if you're wearing masks. Providing home care for someone who is sick with COVID-19, having direct physical contact with the person, touching, hugging, or kissing them, sharing eating or drinking utensils, if they coughed, sneezed, or somehow got respiratory droplets on you. In addition to the correct and consistent use of face masks, and that means covering both your nose and your mouth at all times, you can decrease your risk of being infected and of infecting others by self-isolating if you're feeling ill and calling student health service for further guidance, covering all coughs and sneezes, washing hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds, or using hand sanitizer with at least a 60% alcohol content, maintaining a distance of 6 feet from others, and avoiding touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Additionally, it is of paramount importance that you get your annual flu shot, especially this year. As soon as we at Student Health receive the vaccine, we will publicize this and begin to schedule students to receive the vaccine. Please call the Student Health Service with any questions or concerns. We are fully staffed with registered nurses, board-certified physicians, physician assistants, and a nurse practitioner. Our staff are available to answer your questions, as well as to be able to see you for either an in-person visit or a telemedicine appointment. Remember, what you do protects your friends. What your friends do protects you. And what we all do will help protect our campus and enable us to complete the fall semester here. Wear your masks, wash your hands, and maintain 6 feet of distancing. Stay well, and hail to Pitt.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Landy and I am the Associate Director of Student Conduct. I wanted to make this brief video to talk about compliance with our health and safety regulations. So what happens if you come across a community member who is not complying with those regulations? Well, we want you to remind them of the importance of complying. And if they still refuse, we need you to reach out to somebody, whether that's your RA, your professor, your work supervisor, or maybe a pandemic safety ambassador. If you need to remove yourself from the situation to keep yourself safe, then do that. One example I can think of is if you have a roommate who refuses to wear a face covering whenever they leave the room. What should you do? We need you to remind them of our regulations and then ask them to resolve the situation by wearing a face covering whenever they leave the room. If they still don't comply, you may want to reach out to your residence life staff member. In any situation where you believe others are putting the community at risk, you also have the option to file a conduct referral with our office. That conduct referral can be found on the Student Affairs homepage. We've also added a new violation to the Student Code of Conduct to help address public health and safety, and it reads as follows. Fails to comply with guidance set forth by the university, federal, state, and/or local authorities regarding public health and/or safety. If you're found in violation for this provision of the Student Code of Conduct, you may be facing disciplinary probation or even disciplinary dismissal from the university. Please keep this information in mind as you move throughout the academic year. And as always, reach out to Student Affairs with any kind of questions or concerns you may have. Thank you.
I wear a face covering for my teammates.
I wear a face covering for our community.
I wear it for my coaches.
I wear it for our student athletes.
For my family.
For my friends.
I wear it for you.
I wear it for us.
Wash your hands.
Stay healthy.
And wear a face covering.
Hi everyone, my name is Jamie Dukar.
And I'm Alex Toner.
And we are part of the community team in the Office of Community and Governmental Relations. On behalf of our office, welcome to Pitt and the neighborhood of Oakland. Now, more than ever, it's important to remember that as a Pitt student, you are not only a member of our campus community, you're a member of the Oakland community as well. Oakland is a neighborhood of neighborhoods, north, south, central, and west. There is a rich and vibrant community right at your doorstep.
Our office leads Pitt's community-facing work and maintains relationships with all levels of government by bringing neighborhood voices, policy awareness, university resources, and issue-based activity together. Consider us your central point of contact in supporting your relationships with the Oakland community.
As we all continue to experience the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, you can play a positive role in Oakland by being a good neighbor. Be aware that you are living in and conducting yourself in a residential neighborhood. If you are living off campus, try to safely get to know your neighbors by introducing yourself and your roommates. Practice and encourage responsible behavior on and off campus.
You can check out the Be a Good Neighbor student guide at cgr.pitt.edu for resources about exploring Oakland, living on and preparing to live off campus, and engaging the community. Attend a virtual neighborhood meeting to hear directly from neighborhood residents about concerns and programs happening on your block.
Remember that your actions can make a positive impact in the community, from something as small as understanding the trash collection schedule and maintaining clean sidewalks to wearing your mask and respecting the health of your neighbors.
This year will be far from normal, and we know it will require patience, flexibility, and positivity from all of us to ensure the best results.
Let Community and Governmental Relations be your contact for community questions. You can email either of us directly. My email is jamiedukar@pitt.edu.
And mine is alexjtoner@pitt.edu.
Or you can reach our team at cgrinfo.pitt.edu. Have a great year and hail to Pitt.
Leaving Pittsburgh in the spring felt like I had the rug pulled out from under me. I had so many plans: a research fair for first-year students, college search events for high school students that I mentored, so many things that had been planned that simply weren't going to come to fruition. That's without mentioning the swift shift that classes took from in-person to virtual. I didn't get the chance to say goodbye to friends and mentors, and even then, I was worried about their safety going back to their respective homes. This is why it's so important to follow the health and safety guidelines that the University of Pittsburgh has set out. It's not just about you, it's about all of us, about the people in our community that benefit from the work that we do at Pitt.
Leaving campus in the spring was really scary. It was also really hard being a full-time college student from home, especially just because I was already accustomed to an in-person routine as a second semester sophomore when we actually did get sent home. And I think it's really crucial that everybody coming to campus this semester takes the university's health guidelines really seriously. I know it's a super exciting time and people will be eager to see their friends, myself included, but if people don't quarantine once coming to campus and obtain social distancing guidelines after the shelter-in-place period is through, the chances of COVID resurging and causing the university to close once again is definitely a lot higher. So we need to make sure we stay safe and healthy so we can go back to normal as soon as possible.
Hello, class of 2024. Welcome to the Pitt family.
How are you doing?
No, really, how are you doing?
I began my freshman year at Pitt feeling a strange mixture of excitement and anxiety for the new changes that were about to come.
I, for one, was very nervous to start my collegiate journey here at Pitt. In a new state, a new town, with thousands of people I have never met before. My first month at Pitt was both exhilarating and a bit overwhelming.
You might also be experiencing a number of different emotions right now, but you're not alone.
We all face challenges throughout our college experience. When these challenges surface, the University Counseling Center, also known as the UCC, is there to provide support through high-quality programs and services that foster the well-being, academic, and personal development of our diverse student body.
From outreach and prevention to crisis intervention, the Counseling Center is dedicated to supporting and empowering you to maximize your college experience and realize your fullest potential.
The UCC can help you identify ways to manage your mental health concerns, develop a toolbox of coping strategies, while also helping connect you with helpful resources.
The Counseling Center offers online resources, informational consultations, wellness workshops, skills groups, and individual counseling.
The UCC also developed a campaign called Pitt Grit to show how others have overcome challenges in their college journey. Let's take a look at one of these stories.
My parents, still to this day, would always get a daily newspaper. The Sunday newspaper would always have a house and related floor plans. And so you're looking at over 50 different houses every single year with all different plans. A house would have a kitchen, it would have a living room, it would have bedrooms, but yet you could configure these in very different ways. And so this manipulation of space and how that structure is relating to a landscape, all these different features, I just found fascinating. And when I was around 12 years old, I figured out I wanted to be an architect. All of junior high, all of high school was trying to get good grades such that I could go to a good university to study architecture. I ended up going to Penn State. The architecture program was intense. And so even though I had been incredibly successful in high school, right away from college, it was a tremendous challenge. My first year was very much just trying to get better. Because at the end of the second year, you have to submit your portfolio for review. If you are successful, you can continue in the program. If you are not, well, you can't. And I worked hard. I submitted my portfolio. We all got letters back, and there were 5 standard letters. Number 1, you're god-awful. Number 5, you're the next world-famous architect. And I got a number 2. The letter stated that there were serious deficiencies in my work, and I could not continue in the program. That was devastating. Absolutely devastating. This is all right at the end of the semester, finals are occurring, and then I'm literally leaving for the summer. I went home to try to get a job. It took me about a month to get a job, and my very first night as a dishwasher, the restaurant was busy. I mean, even though this is rural Pennsylvania, it was packed. And so I'm scrubbing, and the pile's just getting higher and higher, and I scrub faster and faster. And the head chef comes into the kitchen with 2 of my pots in his hands, and he says, "I don't think these have been this clean since they were brand new." And I'm thinking, I'm not a failure. I can wash pots. And so I put in hundreds of hours in that restaurant. And so I had spent the summer trying to rebuild my self-confidence, trying to figure out, well, what do I really wish to do? I decided to become an art history major to focus on architectural history, and then I registered for my courses. A couple weeks later, the fall term started. I earned a 4.0 and never looked back. A couple of interrelated ironies. I was not good enough to be an architecture student, but I am a national award-winning architectural educator, and right here at the University of Pittsburgh, I teach the Intro to Architecture courses. I was that struggling student at the beginning. Now I get to help students at the very beginning of their architectural journeys, and I love that immensely. How do you respond to challenges, and how do you respond to opportunities? Those are the things that really determine who you are. Many of us are presented opportunities. Do we accept them, or do we say, oh no, I can't do that? You know, challenges, oh, this is too big. Or, okay, I'll take that challenge. By looking at how you respond to challenges and opportunities, that's how one could evaluate oneself and, you know, grow from these things.
In conjunction with the Pitt Grit campaign, the UCC offers therapy assistance online, also known as TAL, for all Pitt students. TAL is a free, confidential self-help tool that will help you learn life skills to manage your transition to Pitt.
If you're interested in learning about the programs and services at the UCC, please visit their website. If at any time you need support for an urgent or crisis situation, please call 412-648-7930.
You don't have to do it alone. We're in this together.
Pitt also has several organizations on campus that can provide support for students.
Active Minds is a national organization that works to provide students with resources and tools to break the stigma around mental health, while also increasing the relevant conversations around it.
We work to do this by providing events such as peer education, speakers, panels, and by continually participating and leading discussions about mental health. We are lucky to have a close connection to the UCC so that we are able to help support the UCC in helping our peers.
The Black Action Society, also referred to as the BAS, is an organization at Pitt dedicated to promoting the needs of Black students. We encourage students to use their voices to advocate for change to the many racially driven systemic issues here at the University of Pittsburgh, fight against injustices across campus, and to build a united community.
NAMI at Pitt is a group of students who work to raise awareness on mental illness and help those affected get the help and support that they need.
Oakland Outreach is a student organization that aims to improve knowledge and reduce stigma against individuals with serious mental illness and substance use, and underserved populations in the Oakland-Pittsburgh area through educational events, volunteering, and open discussions.
Through the resources provided during Welcome Week, such as information about the Counseling Center and also the various clubs and student organizations on campus, I was able to find the support to mitigate the anxiety and foster the excitement of entering my new college career.
We wish you the best as you begin your college career.
And remember, if you need support, the Counseling Center is always here to help.
Hail to Pitt.
Hail to Pitt!
Hey, my name is Kel. I'm a recent graduate from the university, and I guess what I have to say is that I can only hope for the best. You know, classes are starting up. No one really has control over that, but it's going to bring a lot of difficulties and challenges that we've never seen before. But these are difficult times, right? So I guess what I'm saying is the least we could do is play our part, wear masks, social distance, you know, be cautious and careful and be respectful to others in this regard. You know, our ideas of living normally is going to be different depending on who we are, right? You know, I'm not saying that things are going to go back to normal. I can't tell, you know, no one really can tell when this is going to end. But, you know, there are marginalized groups that will suffer more from this pandemic depending on racial, sexual, and economic backgrounds and disparities. So we have to be cautious and careful with that, right? You know, the University of Pittsburgh is going to hold you guys responsible as students, but at the same time, you should hold them, the university, accountable and hold them responsible as well, right? It's a two-way street. Everybody has to be cautious and as careful as possible regarding this whole pandemic. Look, I graduated from university and it was cool because, you know, the reason I came here was to get these degrees, right? But at the same time, it kind of sucked because I didn't get the closure that I wanted with some friends and people, faculty and staff. Just because, you know, my semester got cut short. You know, it was pretty trash. And, you know, I don't want that to happen to you guys. So, you know, to avoid that, let's just all play our role, wear masks, social distance, stay as healthy, stay as informed as possible, and just be cautious. You'll be all right, You guys got this. Be smart about this. I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming academic year, and get to it.
Other students and I wrote the community compact because we shared the same ideal. It will literally take all of us as a Pitt community to ensure that we have a safe and successful year ahead. The community compact aims to do just that by laying out our guiding principles on how we can create a safe, supportive, and healthy environment where we can continue to learn and live. I know this semester will be different and difficult for many, whether you're a returning senior or an incoming first year. But through building community and following the principles in this compact, we can be more hopeful that we can get back to the way things were, while also forging stronger connections with ourselves and those around us during this unprecedented time.
My name is Faith Gahende, and I am a first-year mentor in the Office of New Student Programs. The Tipping Point is an informative program that will explore the realities of transitioning to college life and making responsible decisions. This session will cover information about alcohol, student conduct, sexual assault, and sexual harassment prevention, as well as safety on campus. You may find these conversations anxiety-provoking. It may cause you to feel unsafe, especially if it brings up intrusive thoughts or flashbacks. If you feel overwhelmed during this talk, please do what is best to take care of yourself. Ground yourself to come back into the present moment. Once you begin to feel grounded, decide if you need to go to a calming place. If you would like to speak with someone, please do. We have counselors here to provide you with support. If these feelings begin to arise, reach out to the University Counseling Center support line at 412-648-7930. Please know that you are supported and absolutely not alone.
Hi everyone, my name is Matt Landy and I am the Associate Director of Student Conduct. And amongst all of my responsibilities, I am here to educate you about the community expectations that we have for you at Pitt. Of course, encourage you to meet those expectations and to resolve using the conduct process any kind of behavioral issues that may violate the Student Code of Conduct. Pictured on the screen is the Student Code of Conduct, and you can find a copy on our website. It's probably similar to something you may have seen at high school or a prior institution, and it outlines the processes and procedures that we follow whenever someone's referred to our office for violating the code. The Code of Conduct applies to everyone, whether you're traditional, non-traditional, live on campus, off campus, a commuter student, transfer students, and it applies to behaviors both on and off campus. Some of the expectations may seem like common sense. For instance, we all know that if you're under the age of 21, you cannot possess, consume, be under the influence of alcohol. Marijuana products are also prohibited on our campus. But what you may not know, and a good reason to read the code, is that we have violations such as knowingly present. So you say, Matt, I was just with people who were underage drinking. I wasn't underage drinking, so we're good, right? Not necessarily, because our expectation is that you remove yourself from those situations. So we have the knowingly present violation. It is your responsibility to read and know the code. We've added a violation this year for public health and safety, and it reads as follows. Fails to comply with guidance set forth by the university, federal, state, and or local authorities regarding public health and or safety. If you violate this provision of the code, you could be facing sanctions ranging from probation to disciplinary dismissal from the university. If you see somebody on campus and they are violating this provision of the Code of Conduct, you may want to file a conduct referral, and that can be found on the Student Affairs homepage. We also have a section called Sanction Enhancement. So any kind of violations of the code motivated by bias based on race, color, religion, national origin, etc. If you're found in violation and it's motivated by bias based on any one of these factors, sanctions will be elevated. So that means that if the typical sanction would be, say, probation, you may be facing suspension or dismissal from the university. Again, it's your responsibility to know the code. So what happens if you do violate the code? Well, most violations stay with you for 7 years. 7 years, that's a long time. So if you violate in 2020, it'll be 2027. So in theory, if you violate the code, you should be prepared to discuss with future employers, study abroad, grad schools, etc. But I want to drive home the point that we're not just here to punish students. We're also here to help students make better decisions. And sometimes that means contacting university and emergency officials when somebody is experiencing an emergency related to alcohol and other drugs. In the code, you'll find a section called medical amnesty. Well, what's the purpose of medical amnesty? Well, it's to encourage students and student organizations to contact university and emergency officials whenever somebody is in a health and safety emergency, especially around alcohol and other drugs. So who's covered by this protocol? The person who calls and reaches out for help, as well as the student in need of emergency attention. The full protocol is in the code, but I'll go over it briefly. In situations where there's imminent threat or danger, you need to report to emergency and/or university officials, remain with the individual, and regardless if you're the person reporting or the student experiencing the emergency, meet and cooperate with university and emergency officials during and after the incident. And then, of course, you need to complete any assigned programs, fines, etc. by the prescribed due dates. Again, the safety of our students is our #1 concern, so please familiarize yourself with the full policy and the code. I have a couple of suggestions for success. Have a plan. So outside of your classwork, you'll have about 150 hours of unassigned time. What will you do with all of that time? You're going to eat and, of course, study, but have a plan, especially in a remote academic environment. Make good decisions. When somebody asks you to do something, think about whether or not it's safe. Think about your future goals. Think about the community expectations. And lastly, take care of each other. We're giving you a ton of resources and we really want you to use them. If you see somebody in need of help, please help them. Thank you so much and have a great year.
My name is Officer Guy Johnson, and I am one of the community relations officers for the University of Pittsburgh Police Department. Pitt is an urban campus, and because of that, we have a few safety tips to help you navigate the campus while staying safe. Here's Officer Camp, our other community relations officer, with your top safety tips.
Please remember to look both ways when crossing Fifth Avenue. Although Fifth Avenue is a one-way road, there is a bus lane that travels opposite the flow of traffic. So remember to look left and don't text when crossing the street. If you have a morning class in Posvar Hall or David Lawrence and you're rushing to get there, use the SKYWALK to cross Forbes. You never have to wait for a light or traffic, and it beats waiting in the snow and rain. Always secure your windows and doors. This may seem obvious, but a surprising number of people don't lock their front doors. It's a simple step to prevent unwanted people from burglarizing your home. Also, secure your windows with an extra piece of wood so it can't be pushed open. Another important tip is to take a few extra seconds to secure your stuff. Theft is our #1 crime on campus, and a lot of times people are leaving things like laptops or bags unattended in the library. If you plan to bring a bike to campus, a U-lock is the preferred method of securing your bike. You can also register your bike through the University Parking and Transportation Office. There are several places to park and secure your bike all over campus. If it's late at night and you're in an area of campus that you're unfamiliar with and you feel unsafe, you can call for a Safe Rider. They will pick you up and make sure you get back home safely. Never travel alone at night. Stay safe by traveling in groups and walking with friends. Also, throughout campus, there are emergency blue lights where you can press the red button and talk directly to the Pitt Police if you ever find yourself in a bad situation. Your Pitt ID is your key to getting into the residence halls. Each hall is staffed by security personnel who will swipe you into the halls, so keep your ID with you wherever you go.
These are just a few tips to help you have a great time at Pitt. And if you ever need the Pitt Police, please call us at 412-624-2121.
Hello. My name is Eva Price, and I am a sexual assault facilitation and education peer educator here on campus. SAFE is a peer education program sponsored by the Sexual Violence Prevention Office, located within the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and the Sexual Harassment, Assault Response, and Education Office within the University Counseling Center. As a SAFE peer educator, I work to educate my peers about consent, healthy relationships, and bystander intervention strategies. When I was an incoming freshman, I too attended this tipping point conversation. I remember being so impressed by Pitt for taking the initiative to have these tough conversations, and I immediately wanted to become more involved. My goal in being a safe peer educator is to help educate through discussions of these tough conversations in order to foster a campus climate of intervention and respect so we can all thrive during our time here at Pitt. Talking about the topic of sexual violence can be uncomfortable. However, it is crucial that we have these tough conversations if we are to work towards a change in our culture. Positive cultural change comes when we do have these challenging conversations, when we hold ourselves and each other accountable, and when we work together to effect meaningful growth for our community. The Chancellor's Advisory Council on the Prevention of Sexual Misconduct is working to elevate and advance evidence-based solutions to reduce sexual misconduct on campus. This includes working with stakeholders across the university to increase dialogue about healthy sexuality. Sexual harassment and assault and relationship violence are issues facing every college and university across the country. These issues affect everyone in our community. 1 out of every 4 females, 1 out of every 6 males, and almost 50% of people who identify as transgender experience sexual assault in their lifetime. At Pitt, our students and campus community have been working diligently to prevent sexual misconduct in all forms. It is not just a Pitt issue. It is not just a women's issue. It is everybody's issue. And it is on all of us to eradicate sexual misconduct at Pitt. We do not want anyone to feel unsafe. Those who have personally experienced sexual violence may find these conversations anxiety-provoking. It may cause them to feel unsafe, especially if it brings up intrusive thoughts or flashbacks. If you feel overwhelmed during this segment, please do what is best for you and yourself. Ground yourself to come back to the present moment and do what is best for you. You can count in your head or focus on your breathing. Once you begin to feel grounded, decide if you need to go to a calming place. You can reach out to Pitt's Counseling Center or Pittsburgh Action Against Rape, both of which have a 24/7 support line you can call. Please know that you are not alone. We believe in your ability to heal, and we want to support you. We will start this important segment with a message from former Safe Peer educator Sarah Stone and our current Student Government Board President, Eric Macadangdang.
Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're here to talk about sexual violence.
It's an issue that's really important to the both of us.
Yep. So Sarah, can you talk about ways that you've been involved on campus?
Yeah, so I became involved in sexual violence prevention in my first year here at Pitt. I was a peer educator and I got to do an internship in the Title IX office at Pitt. So I know that sexual violence prevention is really important to you too. So how did you first get involved?
So growing up, I didn't get a lot of exposure to education regarding sexual violence or sexual assault. And so when I first got to college and I saw all of these different campaigns and student groups focused on empowering survivors and raising awareness about sexual assault, I wanted to be a part of that change and a part of creating a culture where sexual violence and sexual harassment is not the norm.
So I'm a survivor of sexual violence, but that wasn't something that I would have been able to say even when I first got involved in sexual violence prevention. I first got involved because I had had some experiences that I didn't feel comfortable with, but I didn't really know how to classify them because I didn't have much education about sexual violence. So once I got involved, that was my way of learning and understanding and kind of coming to terms with my experience. So the more involved I got, the more supported I felt in those groups, and now today I'm able to identify that part of, my experience.
So rape culture often starts with our everyday words and actions, and those words and actions become behaviors, and that behavior becomes a culture that's often accepted as the new normal, and we cannot allow that.
Instead, we want to replace that culture with one of support for survivors and people who are stepping up and intervening when they see things happening that are not okay and that are unacceptable. So rape culture is questioning someone's story when they come forward and say what they've experienced. Rape culture is victim blaming.
Rape culture is catcalling someone on the street. Rape culture is saying homophobic or sexist jokes.
Rape culture is making any sexual advances or comments towards someone without their consent. Sometimes it can be intimidating if someone comes and confides in you with something that you don't know how to handle. But things you should do if someone comes to you and tells you that they're a survivor of sexual violence or tells you that they think they may have experienced something, you should believe them right off the bat. You should listen to them and hear them out and let them speak and share as much as they feel comfortable with. You should validate their feelings and experiences. Tell them that they're not alone and that there are people here who care about them and want to support them.
And be thoughtful about the language you're using. Asking someone about how much they drank last night or what they were wearing is never okay and should never be a part of the conversation.
Make them aware of and help support them through reaching out to resources that can better support them and are experts in sexual violence.
You could help your friend out by walking them to the Wellness Center or to the Title IX office, where you could help them with different accommodations such as getting them a no-contact order or helping them with academic accommodations.
And if someone confides in you, make sure to follow up and make sure that they're still okay in the future.
The outreach and the awareness we do every day is extremely important and empowering, but at the end of the day, we still have to acknowledge that sexual assault still happens, and it's important for all of us to be there for one another.
And if it happens to you, just know that you're not alone. Healing is a journey, but it is possible and you're not broken. Sexual violence hurts everyone, so we must all be a part of the conversation.
We must talk about it.
We all must take on this work. Staff, faculty, students, and all community members.
Call out language that perpetuates rape culture. Be an active bystander.
If you're interested in getting involved in sexual violence prevention work on campus, know that there are so many options. You can look on the SHARE website to get more information about student organizations or check out the activities fair. You're a member of this Pitt community now, and your community is what you make of it. So let's make this community a supportive and loving one.
Sexual misconduct is the umbrella term Pitt uses to describe sexual assault, sexual harassment, relationship violence, and stalking. These actions have no societal barrier and cross all racial, cultural, and socioeconomic lines. In a 2019 survey of Pitt students, almost 14% of all students reported being victims of attempted or completed sexual violence. Through this survey, we also learned that the prevalence rates of sexual misconduct were higher for certain groups on campus. Almost 50% of Black students reported experiencing sexual harassment, 36% of undergraduate Latinx students, and 26% of students with a disability reported experiencing sexual violence. These statistics demonstrate why it is so important for each and every member of our community to commit to contributing to a more inclusive and more respectful campus. Sexual assault is committed by someone known to the person about 90 to 95% of the time. Knowing that it can happen to you or someone you know is not meant to cause fear. Instead, we want you to think about how you, as part of the Pitt community, can support others to make change. If you experience sexual violence, you are encouraged to seek immediate medical attention for your own health. Even if you decide to not file a report right away, it is important to preserve evidence in case you eventually do. We recommend that you go to one of the 2 nearby hospitals, which have sexual assault nurse examiners on staff 24/7. UPMC Magee Hospital is right here in Oakland, and UPMC Mercy is located a couple miles from campus. Reporting sexual violence is an individual decision. While the university encourages students to report misconduct, we recognize that it can be a challenging decision and may not be the right action for everyone. To speak with someone with confidentiality about your options, please reach out to the Wellness Center. Counselors are available every day to offer you counseling and care to support you. Nurses and doctors are available to support your medical needs. You may also want to contact the Title IX office. This office assists with implementing interim measures, such as a no contact order, a change of class schedule, or a change of living arrangements. You will also be informed about your reporting options, such as contacting the police or using a university investigation process. Interim measures are often what is most needed for students, and Title IX can provide assistance even if you do not pursue a formal investigation. You may also reach out to a trusted faculty or staff member, or your RA or RD. All of these people are responsible employees, and they will talk with you about resources and will forward your report to the Title IX office. The Title IX office will reach out to you with support resources, and you can choose when or if you want to connect with them. You can support others by knowing how to contact the resources we have discussed, which are on the Title IX and SHARE websites. It is important to believe anyone who tells you they have experienced sexual violence. It can be overwhelming to have an individual disclose their story to you. The most helpful response is to listen and assist in providing them with resources for professional support. If you want to learn more about how to support survivors, there is a new Safe Peer Educator presentation on survivor support, which will be available to students this coming fall. One way to prevent sexual violence is to understand, use, and expect consent. We're going to show a video that uses the analogy of tea in a lighthearted manner to convey the very serious and critical importance of consent.
If you're still struggling with consent, just imagine instead of initiating sex, you're making tea. You say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they go, "Oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you." Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, "Hey, would you like a cup of tea?" And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you can make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware that they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important bit, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you're entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say, "No thank you," then don't make them tea. At all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea, don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, "Yes please, that's kind of you." And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone to all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind, and you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. And if they are unconscious, don't make them tea. Unconscious people don't want tea, and they can't answer the question, "Do you want tea?" because they're unconscious. Okay, maybe they were conscious when you asked them if they wanted tea, and they said yes, but in the time it took you to boil the kettle or brew the tea and add the milk, they are now unconscious. You should just put the tea down, make sure the unconscious person is safe, and this is the important part again, don't make them drink the tea. They said yes then, sure, but unconscious people don't want tea. If someone said yes to tea, started drinking it, and then passed out before they'd finished it, don't keep on pouring it down their throat. Take the tea away. Make sure they are safe, because unconscious people don't want tea. Trust me on this. If someone said yes to tea around your house last Saturday, that doesn't mean they want you to make them tea all the time. They don't want you to come around to their place unexpectedly and make them tea and force them to drink it, going, "But you wanted tea last week," or to wake up to find you pouring tea down their throat going, "But you wanted tea last night." If you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you are able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything. And on that note, I'm going to make myself a cup of tea.
The tea video is a humorous take on discussing consent, but we want to make sure you know what the law requires and what Pitt expects regarding consent. It is important to know that sexual violence occurs anytime sexual activity of any kind occurs without consent. Words matter and can cause harm. Unwelcome and inappropriate sexual remarks or physical advances are unacceptable and are a form of sexual harassment. Relationship violence is a repeated pattern of emotional, verbal, or physical abuse of power and control by one stating partner. These issues can happen to anyone, no matter gender. Our Student Code of Conduct states that consent is an informed, affirmative decision made freely and actively by all parties to engage in mutually acceptable sexual activity. Consent is given through clearly stated words, as in, yes, I want to kiss you, or actions, and may not be inferred from silence, passivity, or lack of resistance alone. That means if your partner is not responding or stops moving during sexual activity, you need to check in. It also means you cannot continuously ask someone to have sex or coerce them into sexual activity. Someone who is incapacitated due to drugs or alcohol, or who is sleeping, cannot give consent. Remember, consent is an ongoing discussion between partners. If you want to learn more about consent, sexual assault, or anything relating to sex, there are many different ways to get involved. Be sure to look to the Title IX and SHARE pages to get more information about ways that you can be a voice for change on campus. There are many student organizations dedicated to this issue. It's on all of us to contribute to a campus culture of respect and intervention, and there are many ways to get involved, both formally and informally. We want Pitt to be an inclusive campus where everyone feels respected. We want everyone to participate in conversations that promote a healthy sexual culture and where individual decisions are always respected. Consider getting involved on campus. Apply to be a safe peer educator. Join the Sexual Assault Awareness Month Planning Committee, or commit to talking with your friends about consent and healthy relationships.
College is a new and exciting time for students. This may be your first time away from home. You may be meeting new friends and adapting to a new academic environment. Today, we would like to review some information to help you navigate this new environment and some of the challenges that you or your peers may face. Substance use is an issue that is a nationwide concern, and unfortunately, it can be something that can present challenges and risks to college students as well. That's why it's important to know about these risks so that you can make safer, health-positive choices, and so you know where to get help or support if you or someone you know may need assistance. Alcohol is one of the most widely used substances, and it's something that's often seen as part of the college experience. But the truth is, drinking can affect not only you, but other students and the surrounding community. Remember that the legal age to drink in Pennsylvania is 21, and breaking that law can have long-lasting impacts. Beyond the legal side, however, there are health and safety concerns to consider. Every year, over 1,800 students die from alcohol-related injuries, and hundreds of thousands of students are unintentionally injured as a result of alcohol. Students also report negative impacts on other areas of their life, like relationships and academics. So how can you avoid these situations? First, be responsible. Pitt follows all federal, state, and local laws. That's not just for alcohol either. That applies to marijuana and other illicit substances. Remember that the choices that you make now can impact you in the future. So be mindful of how it can impact you and others. Second, be safe. If you make the decision to drink, remember that alcohol is a drug that impacts your brain and body. It impacts things like your inhibitions, judgment, and coordination. It can put not only you, but also others at risk. However, there are some things that you can do to help lessen these risks. This includes eat before and while drinking. This can help slow the absorption rate of alcohol into the body, which can help to prevent your blood alcohol content, or BAC, from peaking high and rapidly. Know what and how much you are drinking. Set a safer limit and don't exceed it. Pace drinking to a serving per hour or less to permit the body time to process the alcohol. Consider alternating alcoholic drinks with non-alcoholic beverages like water to stay hydrated and space out the alcohol. Remember, a standard serving of alcohol is 1.5 ounces 80 proof liquor, 5 ounces of wine and 12 ounces of beer. Mixed drinks like jungle juice are not standard and nearly impossible to know how much alcohol is actually in them, which can be very hazardous. Drinking at a rapid pace, such as pre-gaming or playing drinking games, can also be hazardous. The body can only metabolize approximately 1 serving of alcohol per hour, and if someone drinks too much or too quickly, it can lead to a high BAC level, which can have some serious health risks, including alcohol emergencies and even death. Being safe and responsible may not just mean looking out for yourself. You may see someone who has had a little too much and may be facing serious risks or situations as a result. Alcohol poisoning occurs with elevated BAC levels and requires immediate medical attention. Be a friend, know the signs, and call for help. The signs of alcohol poisoning include loss of bodily control, vomiting, difficulty standing or walking, threatening or violent behaviors, unresponsiveness, irregular breathing, or cold and clammy skin. If you see someone with any of these signs, please call 911 or the Pitt Police immediately. Turn them on their side and remain with them until help arrives. Do not let them sleep it off. Remember, it is up to you to make our campus a safe and positive environment. Other illicit substances, such as heroin, cocaine, and marijuana, are strictly prohibited at Pitt. Yet use among college students is on the rise on campuses across the country. Prescription stimulants used to treat attention deficit disorders such as Adderall, and prescription painkillers such as oxycodone are controlled substances. This means they can only be taken by the person for whom the medication is prescribed. You may be tempted to use these to study or get high, but they can be addictive and cause serious physical and psychological effects. Risks of misusing these substances include addiction, seizures, psychosis, and even death. Mixing medications or other substances with alcohol only elevates these risks. Buying or selling these medications is also breaking federal law, which can have serious legal consequences, including prison time. If you see an emergency situation, or think someone is experiencing an overdose on alcohol, heroin, opioids, or any other drug, please call the Pitt Police or 911 immediately. Our Pitt Police are equipped with Narcan, a medication that can save a life in the event of a heroin or opioid overdose. Narcan is also available at the University Pharmacy. Addiction can happen to anyone, and it can happen faster than you think. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance use, please reach out for help. Drug and alcohol counselors are available in the Wellness Center in Nordenberg Hall to assist you and your peers. Pitt also has a collegiate recovery program to support students who are in recovery for alcohol or other substances. For more information on this, contact Marion Vanek, Director of the Pitt Wellness Center, at 412-383-1800, or the Counseling Center at 412-648-7930. Again, if you need help, please reach out to us. We are here for you. Hail to Pitt.